We are now joined by number 6 ranked UFC lightweight Dan Hooker. Dan, thank you very much for joining us today.
No trouble at all. I'm happy to come down. Sitting in my hotel room sucks.
Well, we'll get some good questions here for you. First question goes to Sumik Dada with Sportskeeda. Your line is open.
Hey Dan, welcome back, and it's good to see you again. I hope you're doing well.
No, very well, brother.
So your opponent Michael Chandler was kind of overlooked initially by the rest of the top 5 in the lightweight division, but you've made it clear from the beginning that you'd like to fight him and welcome him to the UFC. Is there any specific reason why you've vouched for a fight against a newcomer?
I don't feel like he was overlooked or they didn't rate his skills. I feel like they didn't want to take the risk of fighting an unranked opponent. I feel like they didn't want to put their ranking on the line. But I'm someone that welcomes a new challenge. I've taken short notice fights. I've taken fights with people ranked much higher than me at the time. I just want to get out there and compete against the best in the world. Regardless of rankings, I feel like Michael Chandler is one of the best lightweights in the world. So that's who I want to test my skills against.
So this will be your first time competing on Fight Island, and I believe the fight is during early morning hours. Did you have to make any sort of changes to your schedule in order to adjust to these unusual timings?
No, it's pretty good coming from New Zealand. I'm waking up in the morning at about 4 a.m., which is 1 p.m. New Zealand time. So I feel like I'm just getting waking up at 4 a.m. but getting a massive sleep in. So it's been pretty easy to adjust.
Now, this will be a big opportunity for you, of course. You're fighting Michael Chandler in his debut in a card headlined by 2 former champions in Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. And now Khabib Nurmagomedov says that he has raised the stakes. He will keep a close eye on the lightweights of this card. Given you walk out with the win this weekend, how would you capitalize on this momentum? Could you possibly call out someone, or will you wait for the right moment or the right time?
I feel like who I ask for after this fight or who I call out after this fight will completely depend on the nature of the performance or how impressive the performance is. The champion himself, if you put on an impressive performance, that could be warranted. But I feel like it comes down to what happens on the night. I feel like it's not, if you get a close decision victory or something like that, it's not justified. That's not what the champion, that's not the terms of his conditions of coming back and giving you an opportunity to fight one of the pound for pound or the pound for pound best fighter in the world. That's a great opportunity. So I feel like the performance will warrant the call out.
So speaking of the main event, you faced Dustin Poirier in your last fight in Vegas. That was one of the best fights of 2020. How do you think this rematch goes between him and Conor?
I feel like it's not going to go like the first fight. I feel like it's not going to be a early stoppage like their first contest. I feel like Dustin Poirier is a completely different fighter at this weight class. I feel like he's one of the bigger guys, definitely one of the most durable, one of the fittest, which matches up well with Conor, whose energy systems have, because he uses so much energy trying to knock his opponents out, he definitely does. His energy does wane at some points throughout the fight, whereas Poirier's does not. So I feel like they match up incredibly well. I don't feel like it's going to be an early knockout like everyone says. Like Conor's been saying, I feel like we're going to see a 5-round battle.
So before I let you go, you'll have to stay in Abu Dhabi for a month after the fight. Did you figure out on what plans you plan on doing for the next 4 weeks?
A good traveler doesn't plan his journey. So I'm going out there and I'm just going to experience the culture, experience the cities, experience Abu Dhabi, hopefully get over to Dubai, have some friends there, spend some time in that city and just travel and experience the UAE and its culture.
Well, I hope you have a good time, and thank you for your time, and good luck for your fight this weekend.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage-Side Press. Your line is open.
Hello, Dan. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Can you talk about the emotions this fight week compared to others? Because you've been part of big fights. You've headlined in New Zealand, which I'm sure was a big one also. But how is this different with everything going on and the stakes for this fight?
I feel like there's a lot of excitement around this card. There's definitely far more excitement than there usually would be around some of the other bigger cards that I fought on. But there's not as much. There's more excitement, I feel, but I feel like there's less pressure. I feel like being in the co-main event spot, the pressure is in the main event to you're carrying the weight of the whole event. You're carrying the show. So I feel like the pressure's on the main event. So I'm just feeding off the getting motivated by the excitement of the event. But I don't feel like there's much pressure on me to perform.
Going back to the Khabib announcement, there was obviously so much attention on it on the broadcast Saturday. I want to know what it's like for you, because obviously being one of the top lightweights, you're kind of in that conversation when people talk about it. Are you invested in the whole will he or won't he come back? Or by this point, are you over it and you're just ready to fight whoever they give you afterward?
I'm excited by it. I'm not over it. I'm not forcing him to make a decision or anything like that. The decision is his. My eye is fixedly firm. Just being so close, my eye is fixedly firmed on the title. So I see past of who will be next. It will be whoever. I definitely know that with a win, there is nothing but massive fights. The winner of the main event, an impressive performance could draw Khabib back, or it's definitely going to be someone else in that top 5. I feel like I'm either in with the shot at the title, or it puts me one fight away from the title. So I feel like I'm extremely close.
What is your message to the fans who will be showing up to the party a little bit early and they'll be watching you versus Michael Chandler on Saturday?
I think they know what to expect. I think they know that this is going to be, if you go back and you watch Michael Chandler's fights, he starts incredibly fast. He starts incredibly aggressively. But I'm happy to match that. I'm happy to go out there, and then I've got some very good finishes ready for him. I've set a lot of traps, and I'm ready to knock Michael Chandler out.
Thank you, Dan. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Alistair Bishop with MMA Republic. Your line is open.
And how are you, sir?
Yeah, very well.
Fantastic. I just want to ask you, obviously the route for you to be in Abu Dhabi and obviously have to stay a long length. What is the entire quarantine process been like for you, from getting authorization to leave New Zealand and then arriving in Abu Dhabi and then post-fight? What is the whole procedure going to be?
Leaving's not too bad at all. Leaving's the easy part. I just had to get a couple of tests. Me and my team who were traveling with me, we had to get a couple of corona tests. We got on a plane in Auckland, stopped in KL, went to Abu Dhabi, drove from Abu Dhabi. We landed in Dubai, and then we drove from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. Just went through a border testing station along the way, and then we got to here on Yas Island, on Fire Island. So getting here is the easy part. Going home is a bit more of a process. My isolation is I didn't manage to get a ticket in managed isolation until the 21st of February. So I've got 4 weeks after the fight, which I'm going to spend in Abu Dhabi and then Dubai before I can make my way back to Auckland, where I live, and spend the next 2 weeks in quarantine. So it's going to be about a 2 months trip all up.
Long time, definitely a long time. Does that kind of commitment away from your family, obviously with young kids, does that give you extra bit of motivation to make that trip worthwhile?
It definitely gives me motivation from the last fight, because I did come so close and I came up short against Dustin Poirier, and sitting in that hotel room for 2 weeks with a salty taste in my mouth, that was something that I'm adamant that's not going to happen again. I'm going to go back and spend that 2 weeks in isolation with a smile. It's not the point of wanting to get a victory. I am hell bent on getting a victory, because I don't want to repeat that same process. So there's added motivation because of the quarantine process.
Obviously, looking at Michael Chandler coming in with high credentials, but we know the UFC is the cream of the crop. Do you feel like you have a bit of extra? You have to prove that the UFC is the best of the best, and coming in to the UFC, whoever you face, is no easy task? I
definitely feel like his the excitement and hype around Michael Chandler is deserved. All of that, I feel like, is definitely warranted. Once you truly take a good look at his career and what he's achieved in the Bellator cage, multiple-time world champion, competing in there at a high level for a long period of time, it's definitely warranted. But I do feel like I'm more experienced at a high level, and I fought many different types of opponents, and I truly feel like he's never fought anyone like me, like a tall, rangy striker who can defend takedowns well. I've studied his whole career, and I can't point out a single fighter that is the same style as myself.
And you're obviously coming off 2 fight of the night performances. Do you think the style matchup between yourself and Michael Chandler might warrant a third in a row for you?
I'm gunning for performance of the night. I'm not gunning for fight of the night in this one. The plan of the last 2 was take some hits and give some hits. The plan of this fight is hit and don't get hit. Get out of there with a flawless performance and get that performance of the night bonus. I'm sick of that fight of the night bonus.
I just wanted to check with you. I heard you talking about this earlier on. How do you describe the mental side during this crazy time? Obviously, we know camps are a bit strange and up and down with the COVID stuff. How do you mentally stay prepared in this crazy time, keeping yourself ready at any given time, ready to go?
This time will separate. I feel like we'll separate the true fighters from the guys that don't really want it. I feel like even at a lower level, like guys starting out their careers, and let's say they're going through the lockdowns. It was the same thing that happened back home in New Zealand. They said, "Oh, we're locking this place down," and guys were smiling. I saw fighters that were smiling and happy to take the time off, and were like, "Oh man, I'm cool. I get, well, the government said that we get a rest." So they just sat on the couch and play computer games and watch TV. But the guys that really wanted it, they stayed fit. They went out and did the road work. They did the crazy stuff. They did the burpees in the backyard, the push-ups, the pull-ups, and they stayed fit. So I truly feel like the times like this, the challenges at this time are separating the real fighters, the cream of the crop.
Last one for me, Dan. I just wanted to ask, obviously, you've got a mentorship program going. You're doing a lot of coaching out of your Gym and Combat Academy. How do you think that affects your progress as a fighter?
Oh, massively. I have brought, one of my students with me for this fight. So that shows, the development of my gym and the amount of time that I put into the academy. That's the sport is my passion. Competing is my passion, but also coaching and training other fighters is another passion of mine. I just love the sport and every aspect of it. So I feel like I learn from teaching as much as I do from training.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Best of luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Ezekiel Bergonzi with Somos MMA. Your line is open.
Hey, hello, Dan. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
What aspects of your game plan did you change from the Poirier fight to this one?
I just feel like they're 2 completely different kind of fighters. Dustin Poirier, a southpaw pressure fighter, striker. Chandler's a pressure fighter as well, but orthodox, and they have very, very different styles. So I feel like the preparation was different because I could actually train for this fight. So I think that's the main change from the Poirier fight to this fight. So I'm far more confident in the preparation for this fight. I feel like I've had a full camp. I've had a lot of time to focus in on what I'm going to do, my game. So I'm definitely confident in my preparation.
And this will be the first pay-per-view of UFC to have fans in attendance after a year. So how do you feel about that, having fans again cheering you in this year?
Oh, I'm excited to have the fans back. I can't wait to get out there. That's, it's 2,000 fans, but that's 2,000 fans more than my last fight in Las Vegas. So I'm grateful that there's 2,000 there. I'm going to be listening out, and I'm going to be feeding off the energy. So I hope they're nice and loud, and I hope they're yelling stuff out. Whether they hate me, whether they love me, I hope they're just making noise.
The chance that Khabib might return after this pay-per-view is an extra motivation for you, or you are only focused on Michael Chandler?
A mix of both. I use it as, motivation. I don't let it distract me whatsoever. It's definitely motivating to know that, and it's a reminder that I'm very close to the title. Having that opportunity there, that you could be one impressive performance away from fighting for a title. That's incredibly motivating within itself. But it's definitely not a distraction. I'm just using that as fuel to the fire to motivate my fight against Michael Chandler.
And last one for me, if you had to choose Conor McGregor or a rematch against Dustin Poirier for a title shot or a title fight, who will you choose?
I would choose whoever wins the fight. I myself want to compete against the best fighters in the world, whether that be Khabib, Dustin, or McGregor. The winner of that fight, I feel like, will be the best active lightweight in the world. So that's who I want to compete against. I just want to fight against the best, so that when I win the title, I can truly say it's undisputed.
Thank you, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
We'll go next to Damon Martin with MMA Fighting. Your line is open.
Hey, Dan. I know you have a lot of respect for Michael Chandler, and obviously you're looking at him as a very dangerous opponent coming into this fight. But when you look at your last few opponents, Ali Quinta, Paul Felder, Dustin Poirier, would you put Michael Chandler in that same category? Do you believe he's of that same level?
I think he is. I think he deserves to be in that conversation. Just going back and watching his career and watching his game and what he's achieved and his performance inside of the cage, I definitely feel like he's one of the best lightweights in the world. But we're gonna see. I'm just as interested as you guys. I'm just as interested as the media and the fans to see how he stacks up in the division, because I'm battle tested in the UFC. I've earned my spot. I've proven that I deserve to be here. Well, let's see if he does.
When you made your UFC debut 6 years ago, it was, under a lot different circumstances. You weren't stepping into a co-main event, but it wasn't home for you. It was in New Zealand. Obviously, you were able to get a big win. But we know and we've seen a lot of great fighters come into their UFC debut, and it's a different feeling, different spotlight, the attention, the media, all the things are different. How much will that, do you believe that could affect Michael Chandler in this fight? Because as much experience as he has, he's never had it under the UFC banner.
Yeah, he's been, he's fought for, world titles for $1 million. He's fought on some pretty incredible circumstances, and he's been doing that for a long time. You can go back and look at his career. His third fight was in Bellator. He's been fighting the best guys in the world for an incredibly long period of time. So I don't think it will affect him. I feel like he's definitely ready for this. He came to the last time to fight. He's more experienced than me on Fight Island. He came last time, made the weight, was cage side at the event. So he's been through the process here. He's experienced it. So I'm not looking for any kind of weakness there. I feel like I'm going to be facing the best version of Michael Chandler.
You mentioned earlier you don't want fight of the night, you want performance of the night. And we've seen it, more recently, guys getting in these wars. And we just saw it this past weekend where, Calvin Kattar showed incredible heart, but he also absorbed, 400 some odd strikes. And then you hear Max Holloway saying, I advise guys not to spar, don't take that kind of damage. Do you think about those kind of things going into a fight like this? Like, trying to avoid that damage, trying to avoid, play better defense, obviously make it an exciting fight, but you don't want to, as you said, you don't want fight of the night. You don't want that kind of damage, right?
I know that's not something that I chase. That's not something that I'm going to go out there and chase. But sometimes if the fighter is skilled enough, if the fighter is on the level where you have to dig real deep and you have to prove something, I know that I'm capable of that. I spent an hour in the cage last year with the best fighters in the world, and I was digging for the entire hour. That was an hour where I was truly testing my character, so that I know that I'm capable of that. That's not something that I'm going to go out there and rely on. It's not something that I'm going out there to look for. If I can outclass him, I plan on outclassing him. I don't plan on lowering my technique or lowering my capabilities purely to put on an exciting match. I feel like that will just naturally come with an impressive performance if he can match my skill set.
And last one to that point, Michael obviously has a lot of big knockouts on his record, but he has gotten involved in some of those wars of his own. 2 fights with Eddie Alvarez, which might be 2 of the best fights in MMA history. Are you in a way looking forward to testing him and seeing if he can take your shots, if he can stick in there with you? Because again, he has shown that toughness, but again, like I said, it would say a lot if you were able to get him out of there early, right?
Yeah, I feel like we both want to do the same thing. We both want to prove our class. He wants to prove that he belongs at this level. I want to prove that I'm of a different level. I'm a world-class, elite level lightweight fighter. That's what I plan on going out there and doing.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. That's all the time we have for you today.
Thank you.
And we will be joined shortly by Joanne Calderwood. We are now joined by number 7 ranked UFC women's flyweight Joanne Calderwood. Joanne, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We'll take our first questions from Hunter Brownstein with MMA Weekly. Your line is open.
Hey, Jojo. Can you hear me?
Yep.
How was preparation ahead of this fight, and what did you do differently, obviously, fighting on Fight Island?
Fight preparation has been awesome. I've been working hard. It's just been the same as every other fight preparation. Just this time, since my last fight, I've had more. I think it was like 10, or I think it was even more than 10 weeks. So yeah, I've got a good lot of time on the mats behind me.
How do you feel going up against Jessica Eye? Obviously, she came off of a tough loss to Cynthia Calvillo, but how do you think you match up with her?
I like this matchup, and we actually wanted this fight last year, or I think it was last year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this matchup. I like her style for what I've got, and yeah, looking forward to it. And I know she always brings it, so it'll be an exciting fight.
Have you thought about what you want next with a win over her, or are you just trying to take it one step at a time?
One step at a time, just get back into the win column so that I can stay active and get another fight as soon as possible. Yeah, that's my goal right now, to get back to fighting a lot. I want to fight twice, or hopefully 3 times this year.
I don't know what your travel plans are after this fight, but are you open to the idea of staying on Fight Island and potentially getting another fight before you head back home?
I don't know if there's any more fights going to be happening out here. But if Dana says on Saturday night, I would be ready to fight the next day.
Thanks so much, Jojo. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press. Your line is open.
Hey, Jojo. It's good to talk to you again.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Jojo, I've heard that there's some animosity with you and Jessica. Where did it come from? What did she say? What did you say? Why is there beef? Tell me everything.
Really? I've not heard about that.
So
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No, it came from when her last fight with Cynthia, she took it in 2 weeks' notice and she missed weight by 0.2. And I was kind of annoyed because I was ready to fight and I would have made weight. And I had heard that she was not 0.2 over, she was 4 pounds over the morning of. So I was just calling her out. And I kind of want to get the curtain trick banned because I think she used that. So yeah, I was just put that out onto the Twitter world, and then she replied with she just attacked me back for my honesty.
I guess when you have an opponent like that, I'll be honest, very few people I've ever heard of disliking you. Is there more motivation in camp when you're hitting the bag, when you're hitting your sparring partner, when you know there's a bit of that bad blood going in?
Yeah, maybe not my sparring partners because I do like them, but yeah, when I'm visualizing, I definitely see her face, and it's a good motivation of knowing that I really don't like her. She rubs me up the wrong way, and yeah, it's good to see her face getting some elbows and some punches and kicks when I'm visualizing the fight.
Not to go back too far to your last fight, but I did want some clarification because we had heard that was there a bit of a fainting spell backstage after the fight with Jennifer? What had happened there? Because we never got to hear like the extent of it, how serious it was.
Yeah, it was pretty serious. But the whole day I was not feeling good. Didn't have enough to eat and probably drink that day. My usual, like I'm usually on that. Just wasn't feeling right the whole day. And then afterwards, I passed out. I just, when I just stood up and just my legs went away from me, and then got put in the ambulance, and yeah, they were checking me out, and then they called for backup, and apparently my heart rate dropped to, they were worried. So yeah, pretty much that. And then I think I got COVID a few days later, so we think it's maybe just been that and the aspect of maybe what I went through that night. And yeah, I think, not sure, just happy to be here and healthy.
Well, we are definitely happy for that also. My final question, it looks like everyone's pushing for, or at least the UFC, for Jessica Andrade against Valentina. You've obviously been in there with Jessica before. I know you said you're not looking ahead, but on a personal level, if you find out Jessica's the one at the top of everything, is that a lot of motivation? Or in the end, you just want to be the one to knock Valentina off the top?
No, because I feel like that's a win-win for me. I would like to fight Jessica again. And then if Jessica, I think Jessica could win that. And if she did, then I'm sure I would meet Valentina anyway. So it doesn't have to be when she's champion. I would love that challenge. So if Jessica did get an offer, then I would be more than happy to fight both of them at the same time.
Hey, why not, right? Hey, thank you, Jojo. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll take our next questions from Corey with UFC.com.
Hey Jojo, I'm
Yeah.
actually sitting right here, but can you do me a favor and still look in the camera when you respond?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know there's going to be the amount of fans is going to be limited, but how do you think fighting in front of fans again?
Oh, it's gonna be so exciting. I'm so happy to actually witness it and be in there and see what the atmosphere is like. Obviously, it's not going to be everyone there, but it's baby steps and it's going in the right direction to the world getting back to normal, and we need the fans there.
Not looking too far ahead or getting ahead of ourselves, but if things go well on Saturday night, what would you like the rest of your 2021 to look like?
I'd like to fight another twice. I would like to get married, and yeah, just I've got a few payments that I want to pay off, so that would be good. And yeah, big thing is another 2 fights and get back to the spot that I was already in.
What would you say is the most significant thing that you've taken away from training camp?
I would say that I've put a lot more grind on the mats. Definitely put more time being in there. Dropped a little bit of my strength and conditioning off because I was doing so much in the gym. And yeah, I just got back to having fun in there, and I've really enjoyed that aspect.
Okay, and last question for me. What do you think is going to be going through your head as you make the walk out the gate?
Same thing as always, just stay calm and this is it, you know, trying to stay positive and in the right mindset of, okay, we're nearly there. This is what we've been working for. And yeah, that's it. Staying calm.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Good luck on
Thank you.
Saturday.
Thank you very much, Joanne. That's all the time we have for you today.
Thank you.
And we'll be joined shortly by UFC lightweight Matt Frevola. We are now joined by UFC lightweight Matt Frevola. Matt, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll take our first questions from Gabriel Gonzalez with Cageside Press. Your line is open.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
Doing good. We just got out of quarantine, so I'm doing real good.
Oh, I can imagine that. I want to ask, I know it was a tough 2020 in terms of getting back into the cage. So can you put into words what it's like to finally be back at fight week?
It feels amazing. You know, 2020 was a rough year with all these fight cancellations I had, but 2020 was a rough year for everyone. And in the end of the day, I stayed training, I stayed leveling up, I stayed working on my craft. You know, it was just frustrating that I couldn't show the world and fight and show everyone what I've been working on. But, you know, everything happens for a reason. And we got on the, you know, one of the biggest cards of the year, Conor McGregor pay-per-view against an undefeated opponent. So yeah, everything worked out, you know, it's all good.
I mean, when you have stuff like that happen, obviously you do the best that you can with training, but I can only imagine the level of, you know, just discouragement and frustration when you put all that work in. So how do you stay positive? How do you just, you know, take it and just get it out of your system to move on and, just keep going with everything?
Yeah, it's rough. The hardest part was probably when I got hurt. I broke my foot, and just gotta stay busy. I'll take like one day and be upset about it, but then just gotta recognize it and you know control what you can control. To stay in the present and make every day the best. So that's what I did.
Talking about the fight with Ottman, how do you feel you match up with him stylistically?
Oh, great. I love that he's undefeated. I love that he's got all these first round finishes. But this guy hasn't been tested. And that's what I do. I test people. And, I'm looking forward to using, my full arsenal of mixed martial arts and really dragging this guy to deep water and seeing if he can drown or seeing if he can swim and drowning him.
My final question, you brought it up. It is the big Conor McGregor fight card. I mean, do you plan to, after the fight, hang out with everybody and watch it? Or do you prefer to just do your own thing with your team after a fight?
No, we're trying to get into the crowd. I wanna go out there, handle business, and then head into the crowd and watch the rest of the fights. The first UFC fight I've ever been to was McGregor against Seaver back in Boston back in the day, and that was like when I was 1-0 as a pro. And I remember watching that fight and just feeling the energy that the Irish fans are bringing in Boston, and thinking I gotta get in the UFC. I belong here, and now we're fighting on the same card with him, so it's all good.
Hey, thank you, Matt. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll go next to Damon Martin with MMA Fighting. Your line is open.
You mentioned being at that Conor fight in Boston several years ago. We hear it all the time when people fight on Conor cards. Some people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter; it's just another card." Other people say, "Yeah, it is exciting. There's more attention." I know this is kind of weird because it's in Abu Dhabi and there's only a couple thousand fans versus 20,000 fans. But do you kind of feel that? Like, does that raise the intensity, the excitement of being on a card at this level?
Oh, 100%. Everybody. Conor is so good for the sport. Everybody knows him, and he brings that energy. Everyone's excited when he fights, and everyone's watching when he fights, and it's awesome that I'm able to be on the main card of a pay-per-view with him.
I don't want to talk the disappointment of 2020. I know there was a lot for you dealing with a couple fight cancellations, but coming off the wins you were coming off of, you kind of knocked off a couple of highly touted guys with Jalen Turner and Luis Pena. How important is it to kind of start off the year the right way here and kind of start building that momentum back? Because you had started to kind of build that momentum. Unfortunately, 2020 went the way it did, but do you feel like this is a good opportunity to kind of kickstart that momentum again?
Oh, definitely. This guy's got a lot of hype, and he's definitely a hype train. And he's not the first hype train I've derailed, and he's not gonna be the last hype train I'll derail. So that excites me. The last two guys, were hype trains, and we derailed them, and I plan on doing the same to this guy.
When you look at Ottman, his style, he's kind of a go big or go home kind of guy, very aggressive. Obviously a lot of power. But that also creates openings for you, I imagine, right? Like a guy that, is coming forward, is, trying to get you out of there early. Do you feel like that actually does or could potentially play into your hand a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. And, we're prepared for it. And it's time, it's almost time to go out there and execute.
Thanks, Matt.
No problem. Thank you.
And we'll take our final questions from Corey with UFC.com.
Hey, Matt. I'm actually Corey.
Can
you do me a favor and still just look in the camera, though, when you respond?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So I know you didn't get to fight in a venue with no fans, but with a limited number of fans finally being able to attend again, what type of energy do you think that will provide?
It's going to be great. Just having fans, being in that new arena. I'm excited. It's definitely going to bring energy, and it'll be cool.
What kind of statement would you like your performance to make on Saturday night?
I want all the non-believers to believe. All the doubters are gonna know my name, and I want to go out there and show the world what I've been working on for the past 10 years. What my craft is, and the people are gonna know.
I don't want to get too far ahead, but if things go well for you on Saturday night, what would you like the rest of your 2021 to look like?
I definitely want to stay busy. I want to go in there, handle business, no injuries, and then get right back to it and get right back to training, get a fight booked right away. And then I'm getting married in September. So I definitely get, one other one before then, and then maybe one or two at the end of the year. We'll see. It's a busy year.
So I know you've had a little bit of a layoff. What do you think is going to be going through your head? What kind of emotions are you going to be feeling as you make your walk after the octagon?
Just the ones like every other fight. Just ready to go. I never say that I'm nervous. I just say I'm more anxious. I'm like, I know I'm ready. I know I'm prepared. I know I've done this fight camp. It was a great fight camp. I'm gonna have a perfect weight cut, and at that point, I'm just like, let's do this. I'm ready. Let's do this, and we're gonna go out there and do it.
Awesome. That's it for me. Good luck on Saturday night. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Matt. That's all the time we have for you today.
Cool. Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we will be joined shortly by UFC women's strawweight Marina Rodriguez. We are now joined by number 8 ranked UFC strawweight Marina Rodriguez. Marina, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We'll take our first questions from Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press. Your line is open.
Hello, Marina. How are you?
Fine.
So big fight. It's a big event. Can you describe the emotions of this fight week as it's just a couple days out?
Uma grande luta num grande evento. Como é que você está se sentindo nessa semana de luta?
Me sentindo muito bem, muito motivada e ansiosa aí para poder mostrar todo o meu trabalho, todo o esforço que eu tive nesses 4 meses de camp no dia da luta.
I feel great, very motivated, and I'm really looking forward to show everything I've done in the past 4 months in the fight.
We know that Amanda had several opponents pull out of a fight with her. What was your reaction to getting the call for this fight?
A Amanda teve algumas das adversárias que caiu a luta, né? Como é que foi receber essa ligação para você enfrentar ela?
Depois da minha última luta, a gente deu uma diminuída nos treinos e quando a gente decidiu iniciar um novo camp, a gente já estava querendo lutar em dezembro ou janeiro. Então foi exatamente isso que aconteceu. Treinamos para que isso acontecesse. É a única luta que a gente viu que era mais importante, era em janeiro, seria da Amanda contra a Michelle, então a gente ficou de olho nessa luta, treinamos para essa luta e surgiu a oportunidade.
After my last fight, I decreased a little bit of my training, and then when we got back into camp, we were already planning on fighting December and January, and we kept an eye on this fight between Amanda and Michelle in case something happened. So we were already in camp preparing for that.
Stylistically, how do you feel you match up with Amanda?
Questão de estilo, como é que é essa luta?
Eu acredito que o mais importante é ter uma luta marcada, ter uma adversária para poder mostrar mais uma vez o meu trabalho. E desde que eu entrei no UFC, eu só lutei com meninas do grappling e não seria diferente agora, né? Então a gente está preparado para lutar contra qualquer estilo.
I think what's really important is to have a fight booked and coming out here and fight. And, you know, since I've been in the UFC, I've fought all grapplers, and, you know, it wouldn't be different in this fight. So I'm ready for her style.
There's a lot of attention on the main event. Do you plan to go back to your room and watch the fight with Conor McGregor, or do you think you'll be spending the time with your team?
Tem muita gente falando, muita atenção na luta principal. Você vai assistir no quarto ou você vai só comemorar com a equipe?
Com certeza, vencendo a minha luta, eu vou estar comemorando e vou querer assistir sim a luta do McGregor, que é uma luta animada, né, empolgante.
Yeah, winning this fight, I'm gonna definitely be celebrating with my team, but I definitely want to watch the fight. It's gonna be an exciting fight.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Corey with UFC.com.
I'm Marina. I'm actually Corey. Can you do me a favor and still look in the camera?
Fico olhando pro computador como se estivesse.
Great. How would you say that your time on Fight Island, your last time on Fight Island compared to now, compares to one another?
Compara a sua última vez aqui na Ilha da Luta e agora como é que é a experiência?
Bom, minha última experiência aqui na Ilha da Luta foi um pouco conturbada, né? Eu tive que ficar 25 dias presa dentro de um quarto de hotel, em quarentena, desde São Paulo até aqui em Abu Dhabi. Então, foi uma experiência diferente. A gente estava bem focado para a luta, mas foi uma experiência diferente. Então, dessa vez, está tudo mais tranquilo, mais leve. Só a semana da luta dentro do hotel e agora estamos muito mais motivados que anteriormente.
My last time at Fight Island was a little bit rough. We had to stay 25 days in a hotel in quarantine between being in São Paulo and here, and it was a little bit rough. So this time is more relaxed, and we're just in the hotel for fight week, and I'm much more relaxed being here.
Two very close fights, your last two times out. What would you say you did differently in this camp that's going to be the difference for you?
Suas duas últimas lutas foram bem parelhas. O que você fez diferente nesse camp para mudar isso?
Bom, com certeza a gente deu uma ênfase maior aí na parte da luta agarrada, que é o que sempre as minhas adversárias veem como um ponto fraco. Então, isso a gente já vem fazendo desde o início que entramos no UFC, desde o início da minha carreira. E eu venho evoluindo, sim, a cada luta. E dessa vez está diferente, tô mais evoluída, tô mais experiente e com certeza vocês vão ver isso.
We definitely worked a lot on grappling for this fight, and you know that's what my opponents usually see as my weakness. So you know I'm definitely improving, and I'm definitely going to be able to show that improvement in the fight.
Okay, and then last one for me. What kind of statement would you like your performance to say on Saturday night?
Que recado que você quer deixar com essa performance no sábado?
Bom, quero mostrar quem a Marina é de verdade, quão forte, o quão com vontade eu entro em cada luta e mostrar sempre a minha agressividade, né? A minha técnica com o meu diferencial. O principal é o meu diferencial. Eu sou uma atleta diferenciada, uso os golpes realmente para machucar e é isso que eu gosto de mostrar lá dentro do octógono e é isso que faz diferença e que o público gosta.
I want to really show who the real Marina is in this fight. You know, I want to show the technique. I'm a different style of fighter. I think that I have a lot of aggressiveness. I throw my strikes with a lot of power. So I really want to show that in this fight and show people who I am.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
That's it.
Well, thank you very much, Marina. That's all the time we have for you.
Okay, thank you.
And we will be joined next by UFC women's flyweight Jessica Ai. We are now joined by number 6 ranked UFC women's flyweight Jessica Ai. Jessica, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi there.
And we'll take our first questions from Gabriel Gonzalez with Cageside Press. Your line is open.
Hello, Jessica. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. So I read about this and I just wanted to get your side of the story. You know, Joanne says that there's some animosity between the two of you. How did this start?
I don't know. To be honest, I didn't know there was really any animosity, but I guess that's what happens when you argue with people via, social media. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really feel there's a beef. I mean, if that's what's going to get her out of bed to come fight me, then okay. How do you have beef with another fighter that like she never did anything to me? Like, I don't even know her. Come on now.
No, I understand what you're saying. I want to go back a little bit. Since your last fight, you have come out to discuss a lot of the health issues that you had going on. Just overall, can you discuss how things have improved for you physically and everything since you had your procedure?
Yeah, man, thank God I lost that fight because me losing that fight means I get to be a better me because I had no idea what truly I was dealing with. I think that fighters are the biggest liars in the world, because we lie about pain all the time, whether we're in it or whether we feel it. And I think I was lying to myself for many, many years about the things that I was feeling. And I just after this last fight, it was so bad. You guys, the weight cut was absolutely terrible. The first time I actually felt how bad my stomach hurt was in the Valentina. And, reference this, Eric Nixick and Gray Maynard were in that room with me when I was literally in pain, just grabbing my belly button and being like, something's wrong with my stomach. And, it happened again with Viviani. And in other ways, it was disguising itself as like female issues and, like things of that nature. So I was getting so many mixed signals. But it wasn't until, that had happened. And then it wasn't until I found myself in the hospital July 7th is when I finally found out that something was very wrong with me. And, if you can understand where I'm coming from, the first couple of things they tell me is colon cancer, colitis, Crohn's, and colon cancer runs in my family, especially the women. My grandmother, my mom's mom, passed away from lung cancer and colon cancer. So it's definitely something I have to, be worried about. So I'm still dealing with struggling with irritable bowel syndrome and actually it being a real thing, as well as getting my gallbladder removed, and that finally got removed in August 15th. I think August 9th is the day that we actually found out, and it was just a month worth of testing. You guys, like I can't even begin to tell you, like that was right on the time that the one gentleman had passed away from colon cancer, and how fast and things kind of were happening, with me. But I was getting tested, new tests every week, to find out till we finally figured out specifically it was the gallbladder.
I know that this may seem like an odd question because obviously the fight is the most important and winning. I know that there's been a lot of fighters who have come out and said a lot about, a lot of criticism, holding the curtain and all this and criticizing your weight cut. What is the most motivating factor for you going into this one? Is it getting that W, or is it also proving, you're okay on the scale? It was health issues. It wasn't like a discipline. Proving that point to everybody.
And see, that's how disgusting we've treated each other as human beings. we instantly, instead of asking somebody who has a track record of making weight every time, nobody turned around. Not fellow fighters, not anybody came out to me and was like, man, Jessica, is something wrong? Like, we've never seen you do that. So instead, other fighters, like I heard the way Paul Felder talked about me on the fight, like how people said things about me. Like, nobody reached out to say, hey, dude, maybe we could help you. Is there something going on? Do you need a doctor? Let's talk about it. Let's do some assessing. And the PI, they were stumped. The UFC PI was absolutely stumped. I had to leave them and go to other people because they could not figure out what was going on with me. So I think by nature, all that I can say in this particular situation is everybody can stop and wait to see what happens on weigh-in day. And, to give me a chance, like, again, like, why are we always about putting people down, especially in this sport? If people aren't making weight, there's problems, right? And it's not a discipline thing. And especially going into my 14th UFC fight, I've got over 10 fights and I never miss weight. It's never happened. But instead, we just, we push people down and we bully and we treat people, bad. So, I mean, it is what it is. I know what was going on. I fixed the problem, because when it boils down to it, if I don't fix the problem, no one will. And no one's going to support me to do it. So, in that kind of, point in case, that's why I'm here with my coaches that, are more like friends. And I can even say that they're friends that have the ability to take me to the next level, because I need that in my life. And we need that.
I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. My final question, just how do you feel you match up with JoJo stylistically, and how does this fight go?
Well, I feel like I'm a terrible matchup for JoJo, right? Because she's gonna think I'm just gonna wrestle her, because I always talk about wrestling all the time, but isn't kicking her game. So I'd like to see her stop a double leg if she tries to kick me. So I mean, and then if she's not kicking me, I'm punching her. So I guess like it's a lose-lose situation for her, no matter what happens, and no matter where the fight goes, I'm ready to take it all on.
Thank you, Jessica. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Ken Rodney with TSN. Your line is open.
Hey, Jessica, thanks for the time. I'm just wondering, now that you've put those health issues behind you, how different this camp felt compared to the ones that you had before your last two fights. Do you feel like you're a lot better prepared? Like, do you feel a difference?
Yes,
And also,
guys, I had a dead organ. I had a dead organ in my body. Like, I don't want to sound like a jerk, because like when I say it, like, a dead organ that you were born with, that is a full functioning thing. People die from gallbladder cancer. People die from pancreatic cancer. People die from spleen issues, from appendix bursting. I had a dead gallbladder. I was so fortunate that in that time my gallbladder did not explode or even poison me any worse. So yeah, I feel like a new person. I feel energetic. I mean, I feel good now that I understand foods. I've been allergic to eggs and dairy my entire life. Unfortunately, maybe just the way that my dad was growing up, and I never got tested for it. And I think that by now we've realized that food and things have changed, that I've come to find out I have been allergic my whole life. I should have known too, even in this last weight cut, when the UFC, when we had talked about my dieting and they had gave me eggs, I was just profusely vomiting the entire week. The eggs. So yeah, it's crazy to think about that. And I think that we don't take enough credit that I can't train my gallbladder. I can't train my lungs. I can't do these things to physically take the abuse that I'm forcing it to take. So, I don't know if it's fight related or if it was nutrition related, but all I know is that I don't have it, and that I'm thankful I got it out of me, and I'm not living with that pain anymore.
So with that behind you, obviously your goal is to get back to another title shot and then get yourself that gold. What kind of perspective do those health problems add to the goal of trying to get back to the top of the division?
It's everything's different now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm different now. I'm excited to go back to weight cutting. I'm excited to do this. I mean, everything is different that way. You know, obviously getting to the UFC gold is what every fighter wants. And they'd be lying if they didn't say that. But you know, there's levels to leveling, right? So you have one level and then you keep continuously reaching each one. And this first level is the first level of business was getting my health taken care of and my nutrition. And then next is, you know, winning a fight. And then from there, now maintaining and then going into the next fight. So, you know, I obviously have some work to do and I've got time and health on my side. So, I mean, whatever we have to do to get me there, I'll do.
All right. I wish you good health. Thanks for your time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
And we'll take our final questions from Damon Martin with MMA Fighting. Your line is open.
Hey, Jess. Not to keep hammering away on the gallbladder question, but I'm curious, when you finally got diagnosed, did they give you a time? Like, did they give you a sense like how long it actually had been like causing you problems? Because I'm sure this is going back a while. Like, did they give you an idea like how long your gallbladder has actually been giving you issues?
So it usually takes a couple of years, they said. It takes a couple of years for the gallbladder to fully die. So most people get their gallbladder, and it's actually more common in women than it is in men. But it does happen with men. But it usually takes a couple of years. But they said that, you know, again, let's put some things in perspective. And this is all things that people can Google if you would really like to know anything about it. This is free information out there for you. And even if you're struggling with food and even digestive things in that regard, mine was dead for a lot longer than they anticipated. But most people, when they start to notice a gallbladder issue, it's removed anywhere from 60% to 75% function. That means 75% of it is functioning. I had a 9% functioning gallbladder. 9%. 9. That was completely poisoning my body. So that being said, like, I think it got really, really bad over the past year, but I have to question that. Have I ever had a fully functioning gallbladder? Because I've struggled with stomach pains my whole life. Like I've always had stomach pains. It's been a part of my life, my whole life. And this is the first time since August 15th, and since recovery, I think fully, I should say since September, that I'm not dealing with chronic stomach pains all the time. And if I do get a stomach pain, I know what it is. And I know it's from a food or I had gotten in contact with something. Like even today, like I had rashes all over my neck. Some of the soap over here that I use, I'm allergic to. So, you know, it happens. I have to be very, very careful about everything I do now.
With that being said, coming out on the other side of that, when you do have a health issue like that and you finally get it fixed, I mean, in terms of mentality, does it just make you feel better beyond the physical side, just the mental side? Because I'm sure, I know going through the last couple of weight cuts, you know, you're not a person who ever really struggled with making weight or missed weight before. Coming out on the other side of that, can you kind of give me an idea of the mentality now, just being healthy?
Oh my God. Like we live, like you guys, we're still trying to survive a pandemic. You know, people are dying all the time. Health is the most important thing that we have in this world. It's the only thing that we really can't control. You know what I mean? But it's the most important thing we have. So knowing that, like, yeah, I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. I really saw some really dark times. I felt really, really bad. That I don't think that when you think you're a survivor, like I was a survivor of abuse and stuff like that, but to go through something so traumatic like that, to have an organ removed from my body, like there's definitely been some things that I've had to deal with in that way to like really like overcome it, to the fact that like I feel very, very powerful and I feel like I have a whole new control of my body, a whole new control of my brain. I'm not dealing with brain fog all the time and constant confusion because I'm being poisoned. So yeah, I can't wait for all that. I definitely have a chip on my shoulder because I was dealing with something that I tried to hide. And I've said it now a couple of times. Fighters are the biggest liars in the world. We lie about pain all the time, like all the time on a daily basis. And I don't have to lie about pain. Like I don't have to lie about it. Like I'm not hurting. I have no injuries. Like I have no excuse. So Jojo, if you beat me because you're the better person. There's no health issues right now. I'm happy. I'm My body's probably the best it's ever been in my entire 34 years of my life. And, you know, I'm getting ready to, you know, do the best job in the world.
Going back, you mentioned, you know, in a way you were actually happy the last fight happened because afterwards you were allowed, you were able to actually diagnose what went wrong and get things fixed. But coming out of that fight and then facing a fighter like JoJo, how big is this moment for you in terms of your career, in terms of your place in the flyweight division? Because obviously the end goal is to get back to the title, but I'm sure you want to show, you know, again, taking nothing away from Cynthia or any of your past opponents, but, you know, this is the real Jessica Eye.
Again, like, you know, we can sit here and we can talk about it all day long, right? And I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding. My career has been like this, right? I've given you nothing far short of entertainment, you know, and I've been undyingly myself, and I've grown up in this sport for many years, going into my 14th fight. So like, I know that I'm gonna get the best JoJo because she doesn't like me, but she's gonna get the best physically, you know, Jessica that this sport might have ever seen, that I've ever seen, and I feel it. I mean, we're going into this weight cut and going into all these things that, you know, there won't be much of a weight cut. My body will be dialed in and ready to perform.
And last one for me, I don't want to get too much into game plan. You mentioned earlier, JoJo probably thinks you're going to wrestle, but there's one area of her game where she has maybe struggled a little bit in the UFC. It has been her submission game, her submission arsenal in terms of getting caught in a couple of those without giving away game plan. Do you see like there is an opening? Do you feel like there is a big difference in your ground game versus her ground game?
Well, yes, because I worked with Mr. Jason Manley and Jake Shields and Rachel Cumming going into this fight. And if you guys all know who Jason Manley and Jake Shields are, I mean, we're talking about the original Caesar Six, but also longtime Ronda Rousey's jiu-jitsu coach. So with them, adding them as friends and into it, you know, obviously, you know, JoJo lost her last fight by submission. So that always happens to us fighters, right? Like we lose by something, we're like, we got to do it more. Oh my God, I'm not good. I must do it more. So again, it was nice to work with such good people that they were like, hey, you can't get to this level in a fight camp, Jess. You can't stop those certain levels of things. So it was nice to splash a little bit of everything into this camp and just make my overall self better all the way. So got to put a couple more submissions that I never knew that I liked. I got to add a couple more punches in because I worked with a gentleman from the money team. So I can't wait to showcase my paws. And you know, most of all, you know, I'm joined by my, you know, little brother in my corner again, and you know, I just love him to death, and I love having him there for me. And you know, when it boils down to it, it's you know, family first and health. So I feel like I got both of them on my side.
Thanks, Jess.
Of course.
Thank you very much, Jessica. That's all the time we have for you.
Boom. Thanks.
And we will be joined next by UFC lightweight Michael Chandler. We are now joined by UFC lightweight Michael Chandler. Michael, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we'll take our first questions from Louise Green with MMA Crazy. Your line is open.
Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Great. Obviously, this is your second time out to Fight Island. Can you talk a little bit about the first time, how that experience was for you? Obviously, getting ready to be a backup for Khabib and Gaethje, and then compared to this time round when you actually have a fight scheduled.
Yeah, the first trip out here to Abu Dhabi was definitely a good one. I knew there was always a slim chance that, you know, I was going to fight on Fight Island in October. There would have been a series of events that would have involved a lot of bad luck for me to end up fighting, you know. So we really didn't want that for anybody. But I wanted to take that opportunity to
proved to the UFC right away that I was going to say yes to a lot of opportunities. And the first time, I was just talking to someone else too. It's you got to deal with the time change. You got to deal with all that stuff. This time is a little bit different because there is kind of the pressure of the fight, but then there's also more of the excitement and the motivation knowing that I do have a fight as well. Last time was actually a little bit tougher because I knew I probably wasn't going to fight and I still had to make 155 pounds, which is always the hardest part. The fighting part is the easy part. The making weight is the toughest part for me. But now I see familiar faces that I saw on Fight Island a couple months ago. Starting to get to know my new colleagues, the people I'm going to be rubbing elbows with for the next couple of years for the remainder of my career. So I'm excited to continue with this fight week, make weight, and then finally have my UFC debut on Saturday night.
Yeah, and obviously this is it's a highly anticipated pay-per-view card. Obviously, it's the first one of the year, and of course you have the added factor of it being headlined by Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. What are your thoughts on making your UFC debut on this card?
I think you couldn't have scripted it any better for the first chapter of my UFC career. Obviously, I came over as a pretty big signing, and the fans wanted me to fight right away, and then I had the kind of the backup opportunity. So it seems like it's been somewhat of a longer process than it actually has been because of its headline so much. But to be the co-main event on what could be the biggest card of the year for the first fight, my first fight in the UFC, and fighting a top 5 opponent, a perennial top lightweight in Dan Hooker, a guy who's going to bring it, a guy who's going to, this fight's got fight of the night written all over it. So that brings a lot of hype. And then the only thing bigger than being the co-main event on a Conor McGregor pay-per-view is actually being in the cage with Conor McGregor on a pay-per-view. So when things go well on Saturday night, that could be what's next, and I could check off both of those boxes in 2021. But humbled by the opportunity, feel great that the UFC wants to put me in this kind of position. I'm here to stay, and I'm here to get that gold. So the first step in that quest starts Saturday night on a very, very big pay-per-view with a lot of eyeballs and the perfect entrance into the UFC.
Yeah, and like you said, obviously a lot of eyeballs because it is your UFC debut and there's a lot of, expectations. How do you stay focused? Do you feel the pressure because of that? And obviously with the added factor of, Khabib saying he wants to see something spectacular for him to want to come out of retirement. How do you deal with the pressure, and are you feeling extra pressure because of those?
No, not really. I know 100% certainly that this card is much, much bigger, exponentially bigger than it actually is inside my mind. I've tried to compartmentalize it and shrink it down into it just being another fight, because truly at the end of the day, that octagon door is going to close. There's a set of rules, and we have minimal equipment, and we have 15 minutes to go out there and compete, just like I've done 26 times in my career. It's still the exact same thing. It's the exact same sport. Nothing is different if you don't let those outside circumstances, those outside pressures get to you, because those are only going to hinder my performances. As far as Khabib, saying that he may come back if he sees something spectacular, I expect myself to be spectacular every single time I perform anyway. So spectacular is always what I'm going for. So there is no added pressure when it comes to Khabib's statements. I do know I want to go out there, do my job. I do want to be spectacular. And I would love to fight Khabib by the end of 2021. But Khabib is the greatest lightweight of all time. He has cemented his legacy as the greatest to ever do it. So he has reserved the right to sail off into the sunset and never have to fight again. Or if he feels that itch to come back, why shouldn't it be me?
So with a win over Hooker on Saturday, what would be the perfect scenario for you next?
I just got to ask that because, as I said, okay, so you go out, you dominate Hooker. You got two options. Conor wants to fight you or Khabib wants to fight you. Which one do you choose? And I said, man, that's probably the toughest decision, the thickest conundrum that you can be in the sport of mixed martial arts, to have the gold staring at you and the greatest lightweight of all time, undefeated guy in Habib, the greatest test of your career. And then you have Conor, the biggest name, the biggest hype, probably the most money, all of those different outside circumstances. And I always say, I always go to the gold. I always go to the championship. I would forego more money. I would forego more notoriety, more celebrity, more hype to have the opportunity to fight for that gold. But we shall see what happens. And I don't know. All I know is this is the biggest promotion in the world, and Dana White knows how to run a phenomenal promotion. He's going to put together the right fights. Habib obviously has a say in who he wants to fight. Conor has a say in who he wants to fight. So there's a lot of moving parts, as you guys have seen in the media. It hit in the headlines that I was supposed to fight Gaethje or Oliveira or Hooker, and then Gaethje again, and then it just kind of went back and forth and back and forth. There's a lot of outside circumstances that are out of my control as a competitor. So we will see. The cards will fall where they may. All I know is I got to go out there and do my job on Saturday night.
All right. Well, good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll go next to Sumik Datta with Sportskeeda. Your line is open.
Hey, Michael. Good to see you, and I hope you're doing well.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
So finally, your debut week is here, and right off the bat, could you describe what the feeling is in your mind knowing that you'll finally be competing inside that UFC octagon?
I think it's just gratitude. You know, I've been fighting outside the UFC for a long time. I've dreamed of this moment for a long time, and when I dreamt of it, I dreamt about the pressure that was going to come along with it. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't really feel it. You know, I don't feel the pressure. I really don't. I feel like I'm in a win-win situation. I feel like the stage is set for me to go out there and capture everything I've ever wanted. I feel like the blank page is ready for me to just write the first chapter in this story of me coming to the UFC and what the rest of my career is going to look like. I'm ready to paint a masterpiece. I'm where I need to be physically, where I need to be mentally, where I need to be spiritually. I love the experience so far. I love the platform. I love the notoriety. I love the process. I love everybody here at the UFC. The process is going really, really well, and I'm really enjoying it. And you know, if you talk to me in 48 hours from now when I'm cutting weight, I'm 155 pounds, 156 pounds, it might be a little bit different. But I'm really enjoying the process thus far and ready to go out there and paint a masterpiece.
Now, speaking of your debut, your first opponent, Dan Hooker, he's been on quite a run in the lightweight division. His last fight ended in a loss, but that was a 5-round war against Dustin Poirier. Now, I don't want to get into game planning, but what do you think makes Dan a dangerous opponent, and how do you plan on dealing with his pace?
I think Dan's got one of the biggest hearts in the division. I think he's probably one of the hungriest guys in the division. This is a murderer's row. This is the biggest Shark Tank that the UFC has ever thought of coming up with when it comes to a division. The lightweight division is probably the thickest and the most deep and the deepest in the promotion. And right there, you got Dan Hooker with probably one of the biggest hearts. And the guy who knows how to dish out damage. He knows he can take damage. He's got all the physical attributes to be a champion. He's got all the skill sets to be a champion. So I've prepared. I have left no stone unturned in preparation, in game planning, where I need to be. And he poses a lot of threats, maybe more threats than some of the other guys that were on the short list of guys that I was maybe going to have to fight in my debut. But that's what excites me. That's what gets me excited. I haven't been an underdog since 2011. This is the first time I will be plus money. And it all makes sense. You know, it's my UFC debut. I got to go out there and prove it. I got to go out there and earn it. And you put me in a scenario where I got to go out and earn something and prove something. That's a recipe for success for me. I've had to do it my entire life, and this is no different.
Now you've made it quite clear that the UFC lightweight division is one of the deepest divisions right now. I'm sure you're willing to fight all the top guys in the division, but I'm also curious, have you taken note of the guys outside of the top 6 maybe, like the likes of Paul Felder, Alia Quinta, and former champion like Rafael Dos Anjos? And if so, is there anyone who's gotten your attention so far?
Of course. I mean, I'm a fan as well. You know, I study fights, I watch fights, I buy the pay-per-views, I sit at home and with my wife, and we enjoy the fights. So I'm always interested in the lightweight division. A lot of those names that you said are names that I've had my eye on for a long time, fighting outside the UFC and now inside the UFC. Listen, I think I got my eyes set on beating Dan Hooker and then only going up towards number one after that. But of course, everybody in that top 10 is a guy who is one win away from being thrust into the top 5, one win away from becoming a contender. So you got to keep your eye on all of them. And Paul Felder, I'm a fan of his style. Ally Quinta is actually a guy that I've trained with before. I'm a fan of his style. Dos Anjos, as you said, former champion. These guys are all great, you know. And I'm the kind of guy who has always operated with the thought that it's okay to give props to your fellow competitors, because it's not going to help you win or help you lose whether or not you give your competitors props. When I see talent, when I see skill, I call it out. And pretty much every single guy in the top 10 is an extremely skilled fighter, and I'm excited to throw my name right in the mix.
No, of course, this will be your big debut. Everyone's been waiting for Michael Chandler to finally step into the octagon, and it's going to happen this weekend. But now, with what Dana White said regarding Khabib's announcement over the weekend, do you feel that adds an extra bit of pressure, or do you feel that you have to prove a point to the champion?
No, I don't feel the pressure to do anything spectacular, as he said, because spectacular is what I'm always aiming at. That is always the bullseye that I'm aiming at every single time I step into the cage. I start fast. I want to get a finish. I've got a lot of finishes on my record. Win, lose, or draw, I'm always exciting. And a lot of times my fight style ends in a finish. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Hopefully I end it quick, because the quicker it is, the more spectacular it will be. And the more enticing a fight with me may be to Khabib.
So the main event for this weekend between Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor is already one of the most talked fights of the year. Now, Dustin mentioned that he wants to get a war against Conor McGregor. Conor mentions that he'll get a KO inside 60 seconds. You being a veteran, do you feel Dustin is approaching this fight with the right mindset, or how do you see it playing out?
I do, because if you know anything about Dustin Poirier, you know that he thrives in the battle. He relishes the challenge of being in the deep waters, of being cut up and bleeding and beaten down, because that's where he really pulls something out of himself and becomes that champion that is Dustin Poirier. Conor has got some of the most precise, most powerful hands in the division. He can put away anybody with the right punch. So in the first 2 rounds, if Dustin can evade that left hand, we're going to see a very interesting fight late in the second, third, fourth, and fifth round. I think that's where Dustin Poirier can take over if the fight continues in that direction. So we'll see. I think either of those scenarios could be probable. Either way, they're both going to be entertaining, and I'm going to get my win. I'm going to shower up real quick, do my quick media, and hopefully be out to watch the main event and possibly watch my next opponent.
And last one from me. Now, you've mentioned in the past you're not here for a long time, but for a good time. That being said, is there perhaps a feeling that you could have or should have come to the UFC earlier in your career, or do you feel everything has happened at the right time for you?
No, I think it all came at the right time, and I told Dana that when I was on the phone with him right before I signed that. 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, each time my contract ended, I was not ready mentally, physically, and spiritually to be the champion, to be the superstar that you need for your organization, the superstar that you deserve. When I told him that, I believed it. I believed it in my heart. I saw it in my mind. And I believe that today. I think that's just as true today as it was that day that I signed. I believe this Saturday is the first chapter in me having the best performance of my life. I perform the best whenever the pressure is on, whenever the lights are brightest, whenever the stage is the biggest. So can't ask for bigger than UFC 257 live on pay-per-view as the co-main event. And I'm excited about it. And I think it's a perfect time to go out there and take what's mine.
Well, I wish you all the best, and thank you for your time, sir.
You got it. Thank you.
We'll go next to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cageside Press. Your line is open.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Michael, you've been part of some big fights before. Is there any fight that you can compare to, the fight week would feel up to the level of this one?
No, not even close. This is huge. As I was saying earlier, the only thing bigger than being on the co-main event of a Conor McGregor card is being in the main event with him. So you're literally one degree of separation away from kind of the biggest stage of in mixed martial arts. So to be the co-main event, to be the guy who every eyeball in the mixed martial arts world, seemingly every eyeball in the world will be watching the co-main event that leads right up to Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. So to be in this situation, to be in this platform, it's the biggest I could have ever dreamed of. And, I will say the feeling of it doesn't feel as big as it actually is because I've compartmentalized it. I've suppressed the feelings. I've watered down the feelings and the emotions because the last thing I want to do is let my emotions get the best of me. I want to stay even keel. I want to stay focused. I want to stay where I need to be mentally and spiritually for this entire week to be able to go out and put myself in the best situation possible to be successful on Saturday night.
You touched on it a bit, but I was curious. On Saturday, there was obviously so much attention on the Khabib announcement and all this stuff. You're a guy who's right here in the mix. At this point, are you invested in, the storyline, will he or won't he come back? Or are you kind of over it and it's like, you know what, whoever they put in front of me, let's just get it, because at the end of the day, you're obviously worried about your career first and foremost.
Yeah, you always got to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing for me is my career, my matchups, whoever signs on the dotted line, whoever steps in that octagon with me, because this is a what have you done for me lately business, and you're only as good as your last fight. So I have to do my job on Saturday night. And if I don't do my job on Saturday night, what Conor's doing and Poirier doing doesn't matter. What Khabib's doing doesn't matter. What anybody is doing doesn't matter if I don't go out there and do my job. So first and foremost, I got to go do my job and focus on the main thing. But I'm invested in it. Khabib is the greatest of all time. He's the best lightweight on the planet. He's undefeated. He's looked unbeatable 96% of his career. So everyone's interested in what he's doing. I'm interested in what he's doing. I didn't deserve to fight Khabib right when I came in anyway, necessarily. So I knew I was going to have to get a win. So I was at least one fight away, if not two fights away from getting that title shot. I think with a spectacular win on Saturday night, I could get the title shot. But it remains to be seen how this fight ends. So I'm invested, but not too invested. I'm invested in Saturday night and me going out there and finishing Dan Hooker.
It feels like there were so many, rumored fights circulating, throughout coming up to your debut, the backup, and then where you're going to fight Tony, where they're going to try to get maybe Dustin to fight you and all this. Obviously, there's the fight and the training, but there's also big business. What would you say is the most difficult part about being a businessman in the fight game?
For me, I was actually kind of on the other side of the other guy. I was on the other side while the other guys were making business decisions. I think it wasn't a very good business decision for these guys to take a fight against me, the guy who was coming from another organization, an organization not as big as the UFC. I do have wins over two former UFC champions. I do have a great record. I do have an exciting fight style. The hardcore fans know exactly who I am, and the hardcore fans, quite frankly, know that I deserve to be in the top of this lightweight division. So, but to the average guy, or even to these guys in the UFC, nobody wanted to be the first guy to dip their toe in the water and challenge me. So I commend Dan Hooker for stepping up and saying yes. And I think it's Dana White, Sean Shelby, these guys trying to make these fights happen. And there's so many different outside circumstances, whether it be business or whether it be pleasure, whether these guys just want more time off or whether they just simply didn't want to fight me. It was an interesting experience, but it all shook out and landed where it needed to land. And we're a couple days away from my debut, Dan Hooker, January 23rd.
Hey, thank you, Michael, and good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Cote Cruz with 4-1 MMA. Your line is open.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Good to talk to you again.
Yes, sir.
On Thursday, you'll experience your first press conference like there used to be before the pandemic. Dana and the rest of the guys sitting there in a bit of a free-for-all in terms of chances of trash talk. What do you think you'll do if you get in some verbal sparring with any of the other participants?
Do what I've always done. Keep it respectful, but also throw a little wittiness in there. We'll see how it all unfolds. I mean, to me, a press conference, it's an entertainment thing. It's more for the fans. It's more for the media. There's nothing I can say or do at the press conference that's going to help me beat Dan Hooker on Saturday night, or help me jockey for position in a fight against Conor or Poirier or Khabib or whatnot. So we'll see. I will say I was delighted to hear there's going to be fans there. Delighted to hear that it's going to be me and Hooker as well as Conor and Poirier, and it's just us four. So the pool of questions will be whittled down to just us four. So I should be getting some questions. And it's my first UFC press conference, and there's fans, so it's a good time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that your perfect timing about the fans coming back. How do you feel about being able to perform in front of the fans after you had all this situation of the fans being away for so long and now they're here? So you're making your debut in front of a live crowd.
Yeah, it's almost been a year, which is crazy to think. So to be fighting on the first card where fans get to come back is it's a cool experience, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be somewhat of a historic night if you think about it. I mean, a worldwide pandemic that nobody ever saw coming, that basically shuts down all spectating for the fans inside arenas for almost a year, and now they finally come back at a limited capacity, of course, but still a decent contingent. Spoke to John Anik the other day, and he said 2,000 fans sounded like 10,000. Now, granted, maybe that's John's ears being used to not having any fans, and they just sounded louder, and he forgot how loud 16,000, 20,000, 30,000 fans sounded. But either way, to feel the energy in the room, the electricity in the room of 2,000 fans, a couple thousand fans on a big night, a historic night here on Fight Island, is going to be great to be a part of, and I'm excited to go out there and perform.
Well, speaking of the fight, Dan Hooker said that he feels really comfortable wrestling you. Do you think he really will be?
It remains to be seen. I think a lot of guys think that they're comfortable wrestling because they're used to wrestling MMA fighters, but it's different wrestling a MMA fighter who was a wrestler and is a wrestler and still hones the wrestling craft compared to just a guy who wrestles one day a week. So the guy who gets into mixed martial arts and doesn't have that wrestling background is much different than a guy who wrestled since he was 14 years old all the way till 24 years old. So and competed at the highest level. So it remains to be seen. Either way, I don't need my wrestling. I don't need to rely on my wrestling fully to beat Dan Hooker. I think I have all the skill set necessary to beat him on the feet, to beat him up against the cage, to beat him on the ground, to beat him in every aspect of the game. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
Well, Dan was involved in one of the best fights in 2020 against Saturday's headliner, Dustin Poirier, in which he lost very narrowly. You've had some wars of your own, as we all know. Do you see this fight turning into one of those scenarios? Do you welcome that kind of situation, or you rather have a more clinical approach to it?
You gotta be willing to embrace the uncertainty of whether or not a war is going to break out. You have to be willing to know that when that octagon door closes, that you're willing to get into the firefight, you're willing to get into the deep waters, and you're willing to push yourself past exhaustion into the firefight. Obviously, I would love to go out there and knock him out in the first minute. I would love to put on a technical masterpiece, but there's always that chance that a brawl is going to break out. I welcome the brawl. I've never shied away from a brawl. I've always had exciting fights, and Saturday night will be no different. I'm willing to fight this fight in any form of fashion that I need to get my hand raised and come out the victor.
Well, sir, I'm excited to see you compete. Best of luck in your debut.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll take our final questions from Damon Martin with MMA Fighting. Your line is open.
Hey, Michael. When we talked before the fight, and I know you saw it on Twitter, Mystic Mike, you kind of predicted it about the Khabib thing. You said, if I have an impressive showing, maybe I could entice him back. But considering he's already said, he has no interest in fighting Conor again, doesn't want to go to that circus. He already beat Dustin. Obviously, Charles Oliveira is out there. But as a former Bellator champion, a guy that has the credentials you have, like, in a way, do you feel like you actually do have a bit of the inside track in terms of a guy who might entice Khabib to come back?
I actually do, which kind of sounds like I would be the last guy in the line, since I'm the newest guy in the organization, coming from an organization not as big as the UFC. So I think Khabib is a champion in every sense of the word. He wants the challenge. I think he's already set financially. He's already set athletically. I mean, there's not much more that he can accomplish than 29-0. He's looked unbeatable in so many of his fights. He will have to come back for a new challenge. Conor is not a new challenge. Poirier is not a new challenge. Gaethje is not a new challenge. Oliveira could be a new challenge. But I don't, from everything that I've heard, it doesn't sound like he's interested in that fight necessarily. Although he did say that he looked great a couple weeks ago. But I do think I might have the inside track. If I go out there, I do my job, and I look spectacular on Saturday night, we may just see good old-fashioned, passionate American wrestling versus Dagestani Sambo showdown by the end of the year. So I think he relishes in the seeing me as a new challenge, even though I am the new guy and I haven't, quote-unquote, proven myself in the UFC for a long period of time. Getting that first win is the first step to at least saying, hey, let's try this thing out. Beat me if you can.
You mentioned earlier, of course, you've been a part of some really big fights. You fought, in Madison Square Garden, all those kind of things. But the UFC is a different animal. We've seen that affect guys and girls coming in their debuts, those notorious octagon jitters. We hear about that all the time. How have you mentally prepared for that, Michael? Dealing with the walkout, dealing with hearing Bruce Buffer call your name for the first time. These are all things we've heard people say, man, it is a different feeling. How have you mentally prepared for that?
I do a lot of visualization. I've made that walk before, cornering guys. Obviously, every fight's different. Every arena is different. I kind of started to visualize the setup that they had here for the Khabib versus Gaethje fight. Turns out it's completely different because it's going to be at Etihad Arena. So you can never get it all perfectly, but visualizing it, being in that octagon, Bruce Buffer saying my name. I've seen it all. I've smelled it all. I've tasted it all. I've felt it all already before I actually step into the octagon. And I think I bring enough championship level experience to where I'd like to think that when that octagon door closes, it's the same thing I've done 26 times in my career. And that's a limited rule set with limited equipment and a guy in front of me, my weight, with 2 arms and 2 legs, and we got to compete against each other for 15 minutes. It's all the same. The level is higher. The platform is much bigger, but I'm trying to not focus on all the external forces, all the external circumstances of how big this fight is, all the eyeballs that are going to be on me, all the notoriety that comes with being on the co-main event of what seemingly may be the biggest card of the year. So we'll see. But I'm believing that I'm not going to feel that pressure come fight night.
I know your team down at Sanford MMA, you have a lot of great training partners. But one guy in particular I know you've worked with a lot, and he's mentioned your name a lot leading into this fight, is Gilbert Burns. Gilbert is the guy who has fought Dan Hooker, and I know Gilbert and Dan are obviously completely different fighters, different body styles and things like that. But how much has Gilbert been a part of your camp in terms of getting ready for Dan, offering you any advice, considering he has fought Dan Hooker?
Yeah, Gilbert brings a wealth of knowledge. You know, he is a champion in his own right. He's fighting for the title here in a month or so, which I'm really excited about. We've helped each other prepare. We do a lot of workouts with Henry together, so I love watching him, and then he watches me, and we kind of pick up stuff from each other. And we've had a couple conversations about their fight. Obviously, Dan Hooker fought a very whittled down version of Gilbert Burns. I have no idea how he ever made 155. It's absolutely crazy to me. He's walking around at over 200 pounds right now. So it's just, it baffles me that he made 155. So that weight cut took a toll on him. So yeah, we've talked about some game plan stuff. We've talked about his attributes, and we believe we have the game plan to be able to go out there and win.
And last one for me, they always say you don't get a second chance to make your first impression. So we've all talked about how big this moment is for you stepping in here. But there have been the naysayers. There have been the other fighters in the division that say, oh, this guy's a B-level guy, or he's coming in from Bellator. He's not as good as UFC. And you deal with fans. Obviously, there's going to be those fans as well. Do you feel like you have something to prove in this fight?
I don't think I have anything to prove, because I've never I do take those things to heart when they're said, but my performance is not trying to prove anybody right or wrong. You know, if anything, I'm trying to prove the believers right. You know, my family, my inner circle, the fans, and the people that have been with me since day one, proved them right. Whenever they were out there campaigning for me, that I'm one of the best lightweights in the world, even though I wasn't in the UFC, that I could beat Khabib, even though I wasn't in the UFC, that I could beat Conor. There's a lot of people out there who believe in my skill set and believe in the calling on my life. So I'm not there to prove the doubters wrong, but I am there to prove myself, my God, my family, my inner circle, and my followers and my fans right, that I am one of the best lightweights in the world. And I get to go out there and prove that. But I don't feel pressure, because if you're constantly striving for proving people right or wrong, or striving for the expectations of others, you're going to put yourself in a jail, and I try not to do that. So I just want to be free and go out there and perform at my best, and have a blast, compete hard, and get my hand raised.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Damon.
Thank you very much, Michael. You're all set.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
And we will be joined next by UFC lightweight Ottman Azaitar. And we are now joined by UFC lightweight Ottman Azaitar. Ottman, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity.
We'll take our first questions from Alistair Bishop with MMA Republic. Your line is open.
How are you, sir?
Alhamdulillah, fine, and you?
Fantastic, thank you. The first question I wanted to ask was, you've obviously got fond memories in Abu Dhabi after your last outing there. What do you expect from this time around?
I really didn't understand what you say. Can you repeat this, please?
Saying you had fond memories from your last time in Abu Dhabi with a great performance. What are you expecting from your trip this time?
I expect to give again my best like I did last time, and I'm happy with any results come.
And how different is the atmosphere in Abu Dhabi this time as opposed to the last time you were there?
I mean, I was in summer, it was hotter. Now it's a little bit colder, but no, I mean, the whole world is the situation different, you know, because of the corona. Especially the fighters are not used to go in jail immediately when they arrive somewhere for 2 days. We got already used to it, you know, and everyone have to go through it. So, alhamdulillah, at least we have the opportunity to fight better than to stay at home and quarantine. Huh?
Fantastic. You have fought in Morocco before under a different organization. I want to ask you, how ready do you think Morocco and Africa is to host the UFC event?
Morocco is long time ago ready for hosting UFC and hosting any big events. And it's like I said many times before, it's just up to UFC. They are anytime welcome. We have everything in Morocco. The whole infrastructure is already set up. It's perfect. It's not like we say it's acceptable or it's can be. It's more than acceptable, and it's really perfect. And that's what I am seeing right now by all the fighters all over the world who comes and prepare in Morocco. Yes.
Fantastic. Do you envision yourself on the top of a card in Morocco? Is that something that's been a dream of yours?
That up to the UFC. If the UFC comes to Morocco and they want to put me on top of the card, no problem. I'm also happy to be down in the card. As long as I am in the card, I will be happy.
Back-to-back performances of the night, still undefeated. Where do you see yourself in the lightweight division after one more win this weekend?
What?
I'm saying, where do you see yourself in the lightweight division with another win on the weekend?
To be honest, I don't know what to answer where I say myself. I don't know. It's just another fight like all the others, and inshallah, our goal is always to go step by step up. And yes, and the UFC is the one and the management. They both are responsible for the steps I'm gonna do next.
And last one from me, Ottman. We spoke about Morocco. What advice would you have for any young African fighters, and especially those from Morocco?
They already doing everything right, to be honest. The only advice I can give to all the fighters all over the world is to help each other, to connect with each other. And yes, I see it all over the world. If you are in America or if you are in Germany or in Holland, it's very important that the fighters stick with each other and connect with each other and come together, you know. I've been in every country in the world, and if the people don't train with each other, they will suffer don't having partners in the same level, you know. So it's important for everyone to be ready to help each other, even when it might come that one day they could fight each other, you know.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, sir. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press. Your line is open.
Still okay.
Hey, Ottman, I like your glasses.
Thank you. I got them from Abu. If you say them this, maybe you get also one.
I will keep that in mind. I wanted to ask you, your event will have fans in attendance. I mean, what do you think about that? Obviously, a lot of people are excited for more energy in the arena on Saturday.
I think, yeah, it makes the whole world happy when it comes slowly back to normality, you know, and that is another step to get toward normality. And yes, alhamdulillah, I mean, the last time it was not possible with no people were allowed to get in the arena. This time it allowed, I think, for 2,000, right? And next time for 10,000. And one day the whole pandemic will finish and everyone will be in the same spot like before.
Being a little closer to that part of the world, having the fans there, to compare it to football, do you feel like you will have the home field advantage against Matt Frevola? Do you feel the fans will be cheering for you specifically?
That doesn't play any role, you know. I mean, I fought also without any fans. It didn't change anything. The fans, we have to be thankful to them before and after the fight, not only during the fight. You know, they deserve they deserve that we are thankful to them the whole time, the whole period, not only when we fight and when they're shouting in the fight. You know, it doesn't make any difference. I I wish that everyone who came to support me gives also the same respect to my opponent. As long as this is guaranteed, I am happy with everything.
I understand. I want to ask just what are your thoughts on Matt Frevola as an opponent?
He is same like all my other opponents, an opponent which I shouldn't underestimate and I should take serious. That's what I already did, alhamdulillah. And yes, I gave my best in my preparation and I will do it also on Saturday, inshallah.
My final question, obviously there is a lot of attention on the main event with Conor McGregor. After your fight, will you be going back to try to watch it, or do you feel like you'll be out celebrating with your team?
I don't know how my fight gonna go. You're talking about celebrating. Let's see how the fight goes first. And but to be honest, however it goes, I'm thankful for any result. But the main event, I can watch it from the room or from the locker room. I want to see how it goes, how Poirier gonna do it. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ottman, and good luck.
Thank you. Finish?
Thank you very much, Ottman. That's all the time we have for you today.
Thank you very much. Bye.
And we will be joined shortly by UFC strawweight Amanda Ribas. We are now joined by number 9 ranked UFC strawweight Amanda Ribas. Amanda, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We'll take our first question from Gabriel Gonzalez with Cageside Press. Your line is open.
Okay.
Hello, Amanda. It's good to talk to you again. How are you?
Hello, I'm feeling great.
My first question, did your dad tell you he was going to get the tattoo of you, or was it a surprise?
No, I knew it. He showed me the photo, but in my mind, he was not to do it. And then he came at the gym with the tattoo and me. Oh my goodness, he did. He definitely did. But I like it.
I know your family is all involved in MMA. I know your brothers and your dad and everyone, it's family business. But what does it mean to you that he finds that moment, your first UFC victory, that special to put it on him?
For me, it's amazing because I am not just his daughter. I made his dreams come true. And I made the people think about us, about our family, like a real professional work, and they can trust in our work. So for me, it's amazing. It's a pleasure.
When I know you love chocolate, when I was on Fight Island, yeah, when I was on Fight Island, it seemed every few days they brought new chocolate, new sweets to the hotel room. You've been there 2 weeks. Have they been bringing you more and more?
Not more and more because they think not will be healthy for Amanda. Thank God they didn't do that because I will eat, I don't know, everything. So, but they receive us so well, right? It's amazing this here.
There's a lot going on in the strawweight division. People wondering what's next for the champion. You beat Marina Rodriguez. Is there somebody on your mind that you want next already?
I think if I beat her, I can fight with top 5, maybe some girls, because I supposed to fight number 4, and then supposed to fight number 7. So I hope if I win this fight right now, I can fight with a top 5 because I want to go to the top.
How do you feel you match up with Marina Rodriguez?
I feel it's a really tough fight because she throw elbows, she throw kicks, she has a really good striking, and it will be good for me because I can show in this fight my striking too, not just my underground. So for me, it will be an amazing fight.
My final question, you've done a lot of interviews recently, and a lot of people are saying this, Amanda Ribas, best personality in the UFC. What does that mean to you?
For everybody. Oh, what? I talk too much.
No, just what is your reaction when people are saying they just love listening to you because of your attitude?
This is amazing again because this is so good when you do your things and the people like it. Because for me, before I did my debut in the UFC, I always talked to my dad, to my mom, how will you sell the fight? Because I can't do trash talk. It's not like me. I don't do that. I don't do like sexy photos. How will you sell the fight? And we was talking about it, and then the people liked my personality, and this is so good for me because I feel relaxed. It's good.
Hey, thank you, Amanda, and good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Cote Cruz with Ford Win MMA. Your line is open.
Hello, Amanda. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. And you?
I'm doing fantastic. I saw the other day on your Instagram that you're learning Spanish right now. How's that going?
I need to learn more because I think I just know how to say hola. I'm kidding. I know how to speak more, but it's not that good.
Bueno, vas a tener que seguir practicando entonces. Vamos a tener que prepararnos mejor.
Ustedes tienen que hablar un poquito devagar porque...
Un poquitito más lento.
Sí, por favor.
Es que tengo un problema. Yo soy chileno. Los chilenos hablamos rápido. Anyway, that Latin American talk to the side. You're fighting against an opponent which is in a bit of a skid. a split decision loss against Carla Esparza, and a draw against Cynthia Calvillo. Given this situation, do you expect Marina Rodriguez to come out pushing for an intense affair this Saturday?
For sure, because she is not just a fighter, she is a warrior. So I think he will come to inside to the octagon to get the win. So I don't want to let her do that. So I think she will go with the best way Marina ever, and she will find the best Amanda ever. And for that reason, I think will be a great fight.
Well, a 4-fight winning streak is something very difficult to achieve being such a competitive environment as the UFC, right? Do you believe a win against Marina Rodriguez gets you into the title picture?
Maybe. I think everything depends how this fight will happen. If I win, I need to win a really good win, not just really good win. And maybe I can go to the top 5 and do a really good fight. I think everything depends how the win come.
Well, you were supposed to face Michelle Watterson originally. Do you see that fight happening down the road?
Maybe too. I think my manager needs to schedule that too, because I think there is the right time for everything. Maybe it was not the time to me fight against her. So we need to wait and talk and do the right schedule.
How much different was your preparation for Marina Rodriguez instead of Michelle? Is it different?
Was a little bit, but I think one camp complete another one. Like in the beginning, I started to do my camp for fight against Carla. And I did striking and defense of takedown because she was wrestler. And then I did my camp for Michelle. And I still training my striking, still training my defense takedown. And I put takedowns too. And then I start my camp for Marina, and I still train striking, takedown, wrestler, and go out to the elbows, kicks. So one camp complete another one.
Well, your first year with the organization has been quite successful. What do you envision for your career in 2021? Do you plan to stay active during this season?
Yes, for sure. I want to fight 115, 125. UFC wants me to. My focus, of course, is in 115. Maybe until the end of the year, I can fight to the belt. Everything, of course, step by step. I don't want to put my mind like crazy, but step by step, 115 first. This fight first. If come with victory, I want fight really good name too. And then if you want UFC needs me, I can do more fighting 125. Maybe in this year I can do 3-4 fights. I hope that.
Well, final question from me. It has been said before by a colleague that you do have an awesome personality, that the fans like you for that. I see a lot of fighters doing side gigs, like some of them do commentary, another bunch of them are doing podcasts. Do you see yourself in any of those lines down the road?
Yes, I see myself, but I think in the future, because right now I like to my rest time to rest, relax, because sometimes when we start to do a lot of jobs, sometimes we don't have time to train. And now my focus is train, is to be a real athletic, and maybe for me, it's not the time to do that.
I see. Well, best of luck on your fight, Amanda. It was a pleasure talking to you. Gracias por tu tiempo y sigue practicando español.
Gracias. Yo voy a aprender a hablar más. ¿Más?
Muy bien, mucho más.
And we'll take our final questions from Ishan with Essentially Sports. Your line is open.
Hey, Amanda, how are you feeling?
Hello, I'm feeling good. I was trying to talk in Spanish.
I don't know how to speak in Spanish, sadly, but yeah. My question to you is basically, there were a lot of issues with the booking of this fight. First, you had Carla Esparza, that didn't happen. Michelle Watterson didn't happen, and now you're fighting Marina Rodriguez. You touched upon how where you see yourself going in, say, your next fight. But do you think that you're ready to, say, even take a top 3 fight in the division next if you get past Marina as, yeah?
Yes, I think everything depends the result of this fight. I think if I win, good win, not just win. I need to good win. Maybe I can. Yes, I can fight against top 3 or top 5. I don't know. But until the end of the year, I hope I can fight for the belt too.
One more question. How has your preparation been impacted by the fact that you've had so many opponent changes? I think, if I'm correct, you got the Marina Rodriguez fight early December. So before that, preparing for Carla Esparza, then the Watterson issue. So how's your preparation been for this fight?
I think one camp helped another one. So the first of all I did for Carla, and this camp helped me for the camp for Michelle, and the camp for Michelle helped me for the camp for Marina. So I am completely different athlete since the beginning. So now I am more technical, I'm feeling good, and every camp not is being better for me.
My final question from my side. You're currently undefeated, and in your career, you've had a lot of finishes. How do you see this fight going, and do you think you're going to get this fight done before the 15 minutes are up?
Você acha que você vai terminar essa luta antes do fim, não? I hope so, because I want bonus. Or if I don't win before the 15, I want to be a great fight, because the bonus is good. I want to feel the taste of the bonus in my account.